Mr. B's speed history. Here we go, people. Here's another one. So we're going to look at the German Weimar Republic from 1919 to 24. There are four areas we're going to look at: political revolution, impact of Versailles, uprisings, and hyperinflation. So starting with the political revolution, Kaiser abdicates on the 9th of November 1918, putting the socialists in charge under Hebert, but in a very conservative and royalist system. The only thing that changes is who's in charge. The military, the judges, the civil servants remain conservative. And that's highlighted by the way in which political crimes are conducted and how they're punished. As you can see in the figures there, there are estimated to be 354 murders by right-wing groups compared to 22 by the left. The Weimar Republic is set up. It's a very democratic system, but it sows the seeds of its own destruction. Because of proportional representation, the number of seats in the Reichstag you get is proportional to the number of votes that you get. It is virtually impossible to have a stable majority government. In fact, in the 14-year lifetime of the Weimar Republic, there are 20 different governments. And also, in an emergency, the president can rule by decree. That becomes important in the early 1930s and Hitler's rise to power. So we've got a political melting pot. Well, it's all up in the air. And we've got an international relations melting pot. The Treaty of Versailles. Germany loses a significant proportion of its territory, of its land, and its industrial power in terms of the Saar coalfields. It has to pay massive reparations at £6.6 billion, both in terms of money and in kind, coal, steel, stuff. The Germans are shocked by this. The famous German newspaper, the morning after Versailles, claims it wants vengeance because they'd just beaten the Russians. They thought they're winning after the Spring Offensive of 1918. They thought they were going to get a lovely 14 points based treaty. Didn't happen. And because it's the democratic leaders that sign the armistice, not the army, who very cunningly got the socialists to do it. The German people are ready to accept the military's argument that it was the German socialist politicians that stabbed Germany in the back and not the army. So we've got a political change. We've got Versailles upsetting the country, and then you've got, in this power vacuum, trying to fill the space of rival extremist political groups. The communist Spartakist revolt of January 1919 in Berlin, which is violently put down by these ex-soldiers, the Freikorps. You have the right-wing Kapp Putsch in 1920, which is successful for at least 4 days, and then Kapp and others have to admit defeat because there's a general strike. Germany will not work for the right-wing revolutionaries. And then in November 1923, at the height of hyperinflation, there's the beer hall putsch, where the Nazis, I think it's almost comedically, managed to take over a pub for a night, but fails in terms of any sort of revolutionary takeover of the Bavarian government. But it does make Hitler famous. And then finally, hyperinflation. So you got reparation payments. Germany doesn't pay. France invades. Germans go on strike. Government prints more money. Hyperinflation. By the end of 1923, it will cost you 201 billion, yes, billion marks for a loaf of bread. I think this has the biggest impact because it affects all Germans. Some few people, if you have a debt, you might be a winner, but most people on fixed incomes, on wages, lose out. It is fairly rapidly fixed by Stresemann, who introduces the German Rentenmark, new currency, and the changes to reparations make it, with the Dawes Plan, make it more affordable. But it's still a problem into the later 1920s and 1930s. So there you go. Germany had a political revolution. It was really destroyed emotionally and industrially by the Treaty of Versailles, so they thought. There were a number of uprisings from both political spectrums, and hyperinflation affected everyone for a brief time, but very severely. Hope that's useful. Thank you and good night.